When photographers choose a camera brand or model, a major talking point is usually color. People often mention better color science of certain cameras as a decisive factor. While photographers know that shooting RAW lets them bypass the manufacturer's look, that begs the question of how good the RAW conversion inside the editing software could be. Stay with me as we explore these and other questions in this first episode of Alchemy Color. Hi everyone, my name is Paulo and I'm a photographer and videographer with over 15 years of experience in various fields of work, from studio photography to artwork reproduction all the way to musical events. Color reproduction has been a major concern of mine since the beginning, and with Alchemy Color, I want to provide a place where we share knowledge about color science and provide products for discerning, conscious professionals. Say you finish the shoot and you're gonna edit your RAW files in Lightroom. By default, the software will apply a RAW profile called Adobe Color. You will see this on the top right corner of your basic tab in the Develop module. A DNG camera profile, or digital negative camera profile, is a file used in digital photography that defines how the camera's raw data should be interpreted and rendered into a viewable image. It's essentially a set of instructions that tells software how to process raw data captured by a specific camera model to produce accurate colors and tones. Think of a DNG camera profile as the digital counterpart of a film developer. Because DNG camera profiles are the first element in the processing chain of your image editor, they affect the way every other tool works down the panel. When you open the profile browser, you will find more Adobe profiles, named according to their potential usage scenario, and below that you should see some camera matching profiles that emulate straight out of the camera color response. What is Adobe Color then? This is one of 7 profiles that provide a starting point for RAW editing. We see descriptors such as vivid, neutral, color, standard, landscape, portrait, and monochrome. These condition the color processing to Adobe's interpretation of what these usage scenarios entail. Naturally, they imply a burned-in look that should appease to the majority of photographers. Landscape boosts greens, portrait warms up skin tones, vivid enhances contrast, while neutral reduces it. These profiles have a look baked into them as a way to speed up the editing process. A quote from Joshua Pines comes to mind. Quote, "For a long time, many people have thought, well, film has this S-curve kind of thing, it must be some sort of limitation of the photochemical process. It isn't. It was designed into the photochemical process. Eastman Kodak, for years, actually hired more psychologists than chemists for a period of time. They would go around and research this, about what people like, and all of those S-curves with rolling off the highlights and shadows was purposefully built into the product." End quote. These profiles contain tone curves that perform a similar function. They make the image brighter and more contrasty than it should be. This often clips the highlights, leading to the need to lower the highlight slider, resulting in overly processed bright areas, halation, and other types of artifacts. This curve is arbitrary and doesn't correlate to the accurate tonal representation of a photographed 18% gray patch seen in post-production environment, for example. In regard to color response, we see hues twisted as a function of image brightness. A red gradient, for example, will shift into orange as colors become brighter. These are deliberate modifications built into the profile that should make the image look better to the eye. Highlight roll-offs also tend to start early, leading to a tendency to pull the highlight slider down in order to compensate lost color in the upper range. profile like these make images look appealing with one click. This one-size-fits-all approach can make your life easier, but what if you want a better option? As a discerning photographer, you need a better starting point, without an inherent look, no boosted colors, constant hues, and well-implemented tone curves. Let's look at some images. See if you can find anything special about this image. Maybe the highlights look natural, there's a good sense of dynamic range, colors look natural. What else? What about this next one? Looks the same as the previous one, right? These images were processed in Lightroom with our own custom-made profiles. Exposure was matched between the two, and +20 was added to the contrast dial. Nothing more. But why two images then? One of these images came from a CMOS full-frame camera released in 2021, while the other came from a CCD compact camera from 2010. Depth of field and focal distances were matched, and if we focus solely on color and dynamic range without zooming in to check resolution, can you tell which is which? And these are the same two images with Adobe Color applied. Immediately you can tell that the tone curve is different, reds have different hues and saturation, highlights roll off differently, saturation overall is different, etc. Years apart. Two very different cameras brought together in post-production through careful processing of their raw files, which in turn can yield very similar color responses. So what is Alchemy Color as a product? What are we presenting here? Alchemy Color is a solution for professionals that need camera raw developer profiles with an accurate, calibrated color response. It supercharges Adobe's Camera Raw engine with a realistic starting point for raw edits so that any look could be added later. These DNG raw profiles can be loaded inside any Adobe software that loads the Camera Raw plugin: Photoshop, Lightroom Desktop, Mobile, and Classic, as well as Irradiant Developer, DxO Photolab, and Raw Therapy. As mentioned before, one of the worst consequences of the default ACR curve is how the highlights are made too bright. This often leads to an extensive usage of the highlight slider. Here is an example of how a profile can be designed to recover highlights. With this profile, you can recover an equivalent of -50 on the highlight slider. And with this other one, -80. All of this without inherent artifacts. These DNG camera profiles are bundled with XMP profiles and presets, creating a comprehensive package that remains neatly organized within Lightroom and Photoshop for effortless utilization. We use high-quality LED and tungsten light sources to eliminate color charts, and then analyze this data using state-of-the-art software called LumaRiver. The charts we use are the Superchroma HR1 and the color tracker SG. The light sources are a D50 equivalent LED by UG LED, and the tungsten light source is a General Electric tungsten filament light bulb. We'll create a full video on the principles of camera calibration, as well as the usage of Alchemy Color calibrations in the future. We're launching the store with profiles for the Sony a7 IV, and if you live in Berlin, Germany, I can profile your camera and offer you all the resulting calibrations for free. Go to our website, alchemycolor.com, and find out more. Going back to the introduction of this video, if we remove resolution, noise, and dynamic range from the criteria for selecting a new camera, the whole discussion about color science becomes unnecessary when the raw files are properly treated. This leads me to the question of whether or not we need to upgrade our cameras on such a regular basis. Nowadays, noise can be reduced very efficiently, perceived resolution can be enhanced, and if an object isn't moving, bracketing exposures can dramatically increase dynamic range. Until now, the missing piece in all of these digital optimizations was color accuracy. Now, there is a solution. I hope this video sheds some light on the inner workings of camera raw profiles and how they can be improved. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.